Thank you for taking interest in our paper. It's like a glimpse into the future, exploring the role of blood glucose prediction technology for type 1 diabetes self-management. I am Clara-Maria Barth, and I'm proud to present the work that I conducted with my co-authors Jürgen and Elaine Huang. This work was supported by the University of Zurich and the Digital Society Initiative. So why do we want to support type 1 diabetes self-management? Worldwide, there are 21.1 million people affected by type 1 diabetes. And without proper self-management, type 1 diabetes can be the cause of serious health complications, such as diabetic retinopathy, nephropathy, and lower extremity amputations. In this context, let me introduce you to Tom. He will accompany us throughout this presentation. Tom is 25 years old and has lived with type 1 diabetes for more than 20 years. So what does it mean for Tom to have type 1 diabetes? Having type 1 diabetes means that Tom's body destroys the insulin-producing beta cells that are responsible for blood glucose regulation, which means that Tom is dependent on exogenous insulin supplementation for the rest of his life. However, insulin is not the only factor that affects blood glucose levels. Factors that lower blood glucose include insulin, physical activity, and alcohol consumption. Factors that raise blood glucose levels include carbohydrates, stress, and pain. So managing type 1 diabetes is a continuous balancing act among all these different factors. And here we see some of the technology that can be used for self-tracking. Let's focus on the most important factor that raises blood glucose levels: carbohydrate consumption. So if Tom wanted to eat this croissant, he would first have to estimate how many carbohydrates the croissant has, then how heavy it is, and finally how many units of insulin to take for it. So how many carbohydrates do you think this croissant has? What about this one? Or this one? Estimating carbohydrates can be difficult even for people that have lived with type 1 diabetes for a very long time, as you may have guessed right now. So if Tom ate this croissant for breakfast and took some insulin for it, Tom may still be unsure about whether he took enough insulin for the croissant or not. This is where blood glucose predictions could come in handy, as it would be nice if Tom could know whether he needs to take more insulin now to prevent a high blood glucose in the future. With the increasing amount of personal health data now available from the many sensors previously shown, machine learning-based blood glucose predictions offer new opportunities to reduce the burden of and improve type 1 diabetes self-management. However, just because we can provide people with blood glucose predictions does not necessarily mean that we should. Before introducing technology and information with the potential to fundamentally change the management of chronic conditions that has such a substantial impact on the lives of the affected, it is important to understand how blood glucose predictions could affect the lived experience of individuals with type 1 diabetes. Do people with type 1 diabetes even want or like blood glucose predictions? With this research, we wanted to understand how individuals integrate blood glucose predictions into their awareness and understanding of their condition, how blood glucose predictions may affect type 1 diabetes self-management practices, and how individuals with type 1 diabetes want to engage with blood glucose predictions. To answer these questions, we designed a mobile application called MoonType 1D that provides blood glucose predictions. Our mobile application MoonType 1D consists of 4 main visual interfaces: an overview, a meals view, an insulin view, and an activity view. Now let's take a closer look at the overview. The overview is divided by a vertical gray line. On the left of the gray line are the values from the past 2 hours, and on the right of the gray line you can see the predicted value for the next hour. On the top left you can see the current blood glucose value, and on the right you can see a blood glucose predictions. Here it shows that blood glucose is predicted to be between 3.3 and 5.3 millimoles per liter 1 hour in the future. All the values that were shown to participants in our study were based on simulated blood glucose data. Now let me show you how our participants could interact with the application. If it's not too fast, try to notice how the blood glucose prediction on top adapts to the values they enter. So first, we're going to search for an apple in our 2 food databases that are connected to this application. We're going to input apple and it's going to search now. Perfect. And our apple is about probably 11.7 grams of carbohydrates per 100 grams. So we select that. And next we're going to adapt when we ate the apple. And we ate the apple about 1 hour ago at 3:15. Next, we're going to adapt the absorption time, and because apple is pretty much water and sugar, we're going to set it to 15 minutes, and it was a snack in the afternoon. The category of apple is obviously fruits, and finally, the apple was about 120 grams and not 100 grams. See on top how the carbohydrates change? It's 14 grams now for the 120 grams apple. Now, going back to the diary view, we can see the apple, the 14 grams of carbohydrates from the apple there. And going back to the overview, we can see how the active carbohydrates are absorbed by the body. Next, we're going to add some insulin. So maybe right now we felt like, we didn't take enough insulin for this apple. So we're going to add 2 units of ultra rapid acting insulin. And we took that about 15 minutes ago, so at 4. We're going to add the insulin. Perfect. Now you can see it in the insulin history. At 4, we took 2 units of insulin. And next you can see back in the overview, you can see the active insulin and how it's absorbed by the body. To understand the lived experience with our blood glucose prediction app, we designed a 3-phased study which we conducted with 15 participants with type 1 diabetes. First, we conducted an initial interview about participants' practices and showed them how to use our app. Second, we ran a 5-day experience sampling method study using our prototype. During the study, participants received short mobile questionnaires in different daily situations. In the questionnaire, we asked participants questions about their use of the app to capture in-the-moment responses regarding blood glucose predictions and promote reflection on blood glucose predictions. Finally, we conducted interviews to understand their experience with and thoughts on the use of blood glucose predictions. We analyzed the 2 interviews and the experience sampling method study questionnaire responses using reflexive thematic analysis. Coming to our findings, through our analysis, we developed 4 themes revolving around blood glucose predictions. First, facilitating everyday activity and management choices. Second, trust and control. Third, interplay of emotions. And fourth, engagement and support. I will now present 2 of our 4 themes more in depth. For more details on our 4 themes, please read our paper. When using blood glucose prediction in their everyday lives, participants had a hard time understanding to what degree they could trust the predictions and whether they would still feel in control of their self-management. Imagine having lived with type 1 diabetes for over 20 years like Tom. After 20 years of depending on yourself to anticipate your future blood glucose, how would you feel about using blood glucose predictions? When using blood glucose predictions, our participants asked themselves, how trustworthy are blood glucose predictions? What is the quality of the predictions? And can I contribute to a higher quality prediction? If I neglect to log some meals, will the prediction be wrong? If the prediction is wrong or doesn't match my expectations, will I lose trust in it? How certainty should a prediction convey? Can I provide more contextual information about my actions to make the prediction better? Overall, participants felt that they would feel more control and trust in blood glucose predictions if the app allowed them to provide their own experiential knowledge to inform the predictions. One participant mentioned, one thing I would add would be the possibility to give the app more information about times when you eat something, but you do not inject insulin, or if you do sports, but you do not turn off the pump. So the predictions would be better. Our participants repeatedly expressed the importance of emotions surrounding blood glucose prediction. For example, an out-of-range blood glucose prediction could affect their emotions in a positive or negative manner. People with type 1 diabetes are told from a young age to try and keep their blood glucose levels within target range to avoid serious health outcomes. Staying within that target range is, however, not really easy. And eating the slightly bigger croissant in Tom's case may already cause an out-of-range value. As a result, it is not surprising that people experience guilt, fear, and self-consciousness about their management choices. One example is fear of hypoglycemia, a phenomenon where people with type 1 diabetes fear low blood glucose to the extent that it affects their quality of life. Some of our participants thought blood glucose predictions could alleviate their fear of hypoglycemia. For example, one of our participants stated that they would like to safely explore the outcome of a hypothetical insulin injection before taking action. Others, however, thought that blood glucose prediction could foster negative emotions. Another participant, for example, mentioned that seeing a predicted low blood glucose could foster their fear of hypoglycemia. They said, "Even though it wasn't my own blood glucose level, when it showed a not good value, that was very stressful for me." Getting more feedback in the form of blood glucose prediction can also increase the cognitive load and potentially exacerbate negative emotions about one's choices and self-management capabilities. Based on our 4 themes, we derived design considerations and challenges across themes that should be taken into account when thinking about how to create effective technologies that incorporate blood glucose predictions into type 1 diabetes self-management. We will now discuss 2 of those 4 design considerations. The first is we discovered the individual differences pertaining to interaction, engagement, and visualization of blood glucose predictions. One of our participants stated, "So whenever I go to the doctor, he also tells me that I am the expert when it comes to my diabetes. I am compared to the doctor because I have it every day." This shows the importance of experiential knowledge in type 1 diabetes self-management and highlights the need to support those individual different experiences. When designing an app for Tom, for example, it would be important to support him during low blood glucose events, in which he experiences extreme cravings for all kinds of foods and usually overcorrects. This usually then results in blood glucose fluctuations throughout the day. Secondly, with the increased automation of type 1 diabetes self-management, such as automated insulin delivery and blood glucose predictions, one may ask how control should be distributed between human and machine. Blood glucose predictions present a new stream of information that individuals with type 1 diabetes must reconcile with their existing experiences in order to make sense of their current health state. However, blood glucose predictions are predictions and therefore not always accurate. If there is a discrepancy between the prediction and participants' expectations or experiences, this could lead to a loss of trust in the technology. Thus, it will be beneficial to integrate participants' experiential knowledge in AI-powered solutions in an attempt to engender trust and feeling of control. Machine learning and increasing amounts of available health data are helping to make blood glucose predictions a reality. But for blood glucose predictions to be useful, it is also important to understand how people respond to blood glucose predictions and how it can affect their self-management practices. Our research examines how individuals with type 1 diabetes incorporate blood glucose predictions into their self-management and yielded insights that we believe will inform the effective integration of blood glucose predictions into future technologies to benefit people with type 1 diabetes. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions or remarks, please contact me here on my right or left for you and come find me at CHI 2024. Thank you.